So I guess one more question for me. Who here programs in Cairo? Raise your hand. Okay. So if I could summarize my mission here, it's that next time I ask, more hands are up. So thank you very much. Very happy to be here. I want to tell you, well, I want to invite you to join the Starknet ecosystem, which is live and very, very interesting. And the way I want to tell you about it is to talk about past, present, and future of Starknet, but I actually want to go in the reverse direction, okay? So I want to talk about the future and the concept of broadness and the need to get there, about the present, which is about performance, and then finish with the past, credibility. So without further ado, let's start from the future and broadness and what it entails for Starknet. So I'm a mathematician by training, so I have an affinity to definitions. So let's try to explain very formally what we're talking about when we talk about broadness and the vision of Starknet. So integrity means doing the right thing even when no one is watching. And we need integrity for all the operations that blockchain serves. We need it for money, for NFTs, for all of the things that blockchain supports us with. And next definition, oops, let me go back. Social functions are protocols and registries, or data sets, whose value would drop to zero if they lose broad social consensus about their integrity. So think about money. It's a system, it's a protocol, it also involves registries. Its value necessitates that there's broad social consensus about its scarcity and its integrity, which entails a lot of things. You know, the minting schedule, that ownership is managed correctly, and so on and so forth. If you think about a land registry, not land has intrinsic value, but a land registry has value only in so much as there is broad social consensus about its integrity, that it really does the right thing. And Ethereum and Bitcoin and all the other that are similar to that are examples of webs of integrity, or integrity webs, which is, I think, a beautiful definition that Ilya from our team came up with that I really like. So we all know the World Wide Web, which is this thing that allows information to flow, and integrity webs. I prefer not using the term blockchain because blockchain also refers to the specific, longest chain or a chain of blocks, and some of these protocols involve DAGs and other things. So the essence of these things is that they are webs of integrity. So what are these webs of integrity? You can define them as protocols that are open to all, peer-to-peer, and their purpose is to implement social functions, either specific ones, like money, which is what Bitcoin does, or be infrastructure for any social function, which is what Ethereum was the first to do. So these are peer-to-peer protocols that implement social functions. First, they have no central party that controls them. That's the most distinctive part that you notice. But there's also a positive aspect to them. The way they get away with, the way they don't need a central arbiter is because they have a different way. They have this protocol that distributes value to the operators and the nodes involved in the system in a very fair and equal manner. And they manage to somehow tie the value that is distributed to the operators to the integrity of the system. So they do this by ingenious ways. The first one to really solve this problem was Satoshi. And since then, we see a lot of different ones, but this is a common theme in all of them. Open to all peer-to-peer protocols that derive trust in their integrity by some way of distributing value to the nodes operating and tying that value to the integrity of the system. Okay. But there's a tension in broadness. Broadness could be the set of operators that needs to be as big as possible. So you want very minimal barriers of entry to this web, this integrity web. But you also want broadness in terms of the social functions that you can support and their scale. So you have this tension between decentralization and scale, between the broadness of the base of operators that needs to have very low limits, but also you want maximal scale. And this tension is exactly what leads to the scalability problem, right? If you were to 10x or 100x the throughput or the gas limit on Ethereum, some machines probably could support this, but immediately you would lose or diminish the broadness of the operator set, and that's why you don't do this. So what we have here now is this tension between the broadness of the operator set and what it can verify integrity of, and the broadness of the set of, or the scale of functions that it can support. So what is Starknet? Starknet is yet another example of an integrity web. It's a layer 2 on Ethereum that resolves the tension between these two forms of broadness of the operator set and broadness of scale, or of the social function supported. And the way it bridges this is with math, in particular Stark validity proofs. And the way Starknet works is that allows and invites arbitrarily powerful operators to add capacity or broaden the set of social functions and their capacity without taxing the network of operators, or L1, with needing to verify each and every step. So we use math in order to bridge this gap and expand the broadness of the social functions that are supported on Ethereum. So if you want to think about this pictorially, within Ethereum right now, we have a lot of integrity and a lot of trust and a lot of value that is supported by it, but it's a very limited set of functions and very limited TPS that you can have. So with the help of math, we open up this to arbitrarily powerful operators that we don't need to have any trust in them, and we can do this, of course, through fractal scaling and further recursive implementations of the same methodology. And the beauty of it all is that the math sort of is transitive, or the integrity that you get and the assurances that you get flow transitively from Ethereum's core of trust all the way out to the outer perimeters. So that's what you get with Starknet. But this entails several things that are very important. Starknet must be open and transparent, okay? Everyone needs to know what's going on, and it must be possible for everyone to operate every single aspect of it. Starknet must have a broad and empowered base of operators, leaders, governance leaders, community leaders, and developers. And Starknet cannot allow any one party to control it. Now, currently, StarkWare is very much influential within Starknet, but according to this vision and these principles, this must change, and it will change. And I want to talk a little bit about that. So this is about the future, and I just want to mention something, that if as you broaden the set of social functions, you get this very nice flywheel effect going on, because you can support more social functions and at a higher scale and lower cost. What you get is a broader set of operators and users that come into the system. The system increases both in its integrity and its value, and this invites even more social functions to come there and higher throughput. So you have this very good flywheel effect that is, being unleashed, which is what we all want. So this is a little bit about the future of Starknet and where we're heading and why it's a good thing to get there. Now I want to talk about the present, which is performance. In order to broaden the set of social functions that can be supported by the blockchain, you must have enough performance or scale to support that. And I want to share with you some information about that. So if you go today and look at the current TPS, transactions per second, as reported by things like L2Beats and others, you'll see that we maxed at around 3 TPS daily TPS measured outside. Actually, our systems work at slightly higher capacity, roughly 2x. Some of the transactions get reverted and are not reported, so we can support a little bit more, roughly around 6 and sometimes even 7 TPS, but it's still low. It's like roughly half of Ethereum. That's what's happening today. Now, Starknet today already has some very, very important features, and I'll just mention 2 of them. One is that we have smart wallets, or also known as account abstraction, and this is the baseline way the system works, right? So this is the only way that accounts work is through account abstraction. You don't have the EOA addresses of Ethereum, and this is baked into the base strata of the protocol, which leads to a lot of nice things happening. The reason that, for instance, Visa Research picked Starknet to deploy its sample of using new ways to conduct transactions over Visa is due to there being this level of account abstraction. So it's, of course, we're riding on the shoulders of giants. We're implementing the ERC 4337 suggestion by Vitalik, Yoav Weiss, many others, but it's inside already the system as it's defined. There's also storage proofs that allow you to invoke and talk about any state of Ethereum, and if other chains are added, you can very efficiently port over addresses and informations and have very safe and secure bridges into Starknet. So this is already today. And the last thing I want to say is that Cairo 1.0 is already deployed today. It is Rust inspired, so for those of you who like Rust, you will love Cairo. It is very ergonomic and safe. It has strong type systems which are going to prevent you from causing problems for your users. It has safe intermediate representation, which is really powerful and allows you to have DOS prevention mechanisms and also down the line better formal verification and other beautiful attributes. And all in all, it is a very modern smart contract language, even without its effect on scaling. So you should definitely check it out. And this QR code here is something you can use in order to start learning a bit more about it. I want to mention, if you have more questions about things like Cairo, so we have here Cairo co-inventor Lior Goldberg. Can you please say hi? Please come out and reach out to him, especially those of you Rustaceans or programming language experts. You'll really enjoy and benefit from just picking his brain and trying to understand what are the design choices behind Cairo 1.0. Why are we not EVM compatible? Why not Solidity? All of these questions, please reach out. So right now, we're at a TPS of around 5 to 6, but within a month, we're gonna roughly 10x that or more. So in our internal measurements, for the next version of the system, right now codename version 12, but we'll find a different name soon, we went from 20,000 steps of our virtual machine inside, within a second to measuring more than 100. Now, our engineers are very much on the cautious side, so this 100 was really not 100,000 steps, but more like 250,000 steps with peaks of 600,000 steps. Now, what does this translate into? And this is coming out in the very next version, which is going to be deployed within a month, in less than a month. So one transfer of an ERC20 token on Starknet is roughly 1,000 steps of the Cairo virtual machine, which means that now at capacity, we can support up to 20 TPS of these transfers. You don't see this in day-to-day because most of the transactions are more complicated to that. But ERC20 transfers we could reach today a TPS of roughly 20. And within a month, this will go up to well over 100. 250, maybe even much higher than that. And this is all coming within a month. And this is all possible not because just of the work of StarkWare. I want to mention that the Starknet ecosystem has a very large number of extremely dedicated and amazing engineering teams. One of the stellar teams is Lambda class, and a lot of the speed efficiency came from the Rust Cairo virtual machine written by Federico's team, Lambda class, and we're very proud to have them and many other amazing teams with us. Of course, we'd love to have more of you guys helping us out and joining the system. So the next version coming out in August will have volition, which means that you can have users decide where to put their assets if they want them on layer 1. Most of the cost today of a transaction on Starknet, and this is similar to other roll-ups, is the data cost on L1. So roughly a transaction costs around $0.50 today on Starknet, and most of that is the L1 cost. So in August, we're going to unroll Volition, which allows users to pick and developers to pick what they want to use. They could either use the on-chain data, or they could use off-chain data. Later on, when 4844 comes along, this will also be integrated, and then users will have at least 3 different kinds of data availability solutions to come. So this is coming out in August, and you'll have much lower fees, and later down the road, we'll have congestion fee estimates, and yeah. So what I want to say is that, first of all, it's very important to understand this. Starknet right now is open mainnet for deployment. You can write your Cairo 1 contracts and deploy them, and there are a number of applications already out there. It's really the place right now for developers to build, but the stuff you're building can already be in production and reaching real users. The TVL is growing, and we'll see a lot more of that in the upcoming days, but it's open for business right now, so please explore it. I talked a little bit about the vision of broadness and having no one party control it, and basically, you know, StarkWare leaving the center and making room and empowering other organizations and institutions. So in particular, we have the Starknet Foundation. The staffing is in progress. So we have here Diego and Sue. If you want to also say hi, please come and talk to them if you want to learn more about how to get involved in the community. We'll share a lot more details on the exact staffing, but we've already made progress on this, and we'll be very happy to talk to teams who are seeking you know, developer grants and want to start working with us. Granting has already commenced. There's a total allocation of 1.2 billion Starks out of the 10 billion initial minting. And there have already been 67 early adopter grants announced last week out of 104 applications. If you scan this QR code, you will see the discussion thread on the forums about this thing. There will probably be other rounds, so please consider doing that. It, of course, entails, you know, learning Cairo 1.0, writing code, and deploying, but you will not be sorry if you do this. There's also a provisions and rebates allocation of 1.8 or 18% of the initial allocation, and there's advanced research about how that will play out, provisioning to end users and all kinds of other entities that are important for securing the network. There'll be details about that later in the summer. The Starknet token, there's a 10 billion initial minting of tokens. There will be inflation, details about that. So it won't end up with 10 billion tokens. There will be inflation as the protocol evolves. There are 3 utilities for the token. Governance, it's already in use, so all network upgrades are voted on, and other things, and we'll expand this. The fees for Starknet transactions are going to be in the Starknet token, and this is coming soon, hopefully this summer. And staking will be the way via proof of stake mechanism for operating the network. So there will be additional minting and operator rewards. And if you read the blog posts about the Starknet governance proposal, it's all about developers first. There will be automatic allocation of tokens to developers and smart contract dApps, and it's all explained in the blog post about this. So you can look for Starknet governance proposal and read there the 3 blogs and learn more. You are very welcome to join the Starknet ecosystem. You will probably be enbricked and join the likes of masters Sylve, Aviu, Abdel, Louis, and Henri. We have a very strong French contingency. Later today, you're going to hear from Elias about Kakarot, a very beautiful ZK EVM on top of Starknet. Please come and listen to that talk. There's also Madara and Dojo. I see Danilo and Elias are laughing. Why? It's like the wrong Dojo or something? Okay, so there are a lot of very cool projects by the community, open source projects that basically invite developers to join. So please join that. One other thing about this, there's a meetup this evening. You can still sign up, hopefully. We're trying to expand the number of invitees, where we'll have an AMA with basically the Starknet folks. So Elias and Danilo and Alex from Argent. We'll have Diego and Sue and Leo and Ilya, our decentralization protocol master, answering all the questions that you want. So please join us. It's going to be around 6 this evening. Scan the QR code and try to join. How much time do I have if I want to leave time for questions? Oh, I'm done. So I have 5 minutes, including questions, or then I get questions? Including questions. Okay, so I don't want to talk about the past, but I want to say we have a lot of credibility. We've been at scaling blockchains with Stark proofs way before the rest, and I welcome you to look up the history. StarkWare was founded in 2018. Our first product came out in 2019, and we've been settling, we're nearing $1 trillion of settled transactions of volume on Ethereum. And so we have a lot of credibility. And we're not so much about hype, we're about delivering really, really strong products, which I hope developers will appreciate. So do I have time for questions? Okay, so I'd love to answer questions.
If you have a question for Eli and the Starknet team, go ahead and raise your hand.
Yeah, there's someone over there.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. You just mentioned for the token, the future token, which will be a gas token actually for the Starknet L2, which is completely different than other L2s. So could you just develop a little bit about that? Thank you.
Yes. So first of all, I invite everyone to look up again. If you Google Starknet governance proposal, it's a 3-blog series. Yes, the reasoning for the payment of fees in the token and for staking and for governance, they're all the same reason. It's very important for us to have, first of all, the control of the system within the parties that are supporting it. Okay, and we of course cannot have any one party controlling it, and we also want to ensure that let's say 3 years down the line, suppose some new cool project comes around and is doing like tremendously important work. So this could either be infrastructure work or it could be some smart contract that is immensely useful, some Uniswap, right? So how do we, the protocol, control and over the future of Starknet flows to that one party. So you could say, well, we'll have a committee of wise elders that says, oh, this Uniswap is really important. As much as we want, as much as we can, we prefer to have the protocol solve this at a very protocol level without human intervention. So because of reasons like this, we do things differently. We do a lot of things very differently at Starknet, but all of them come from taking a very long-term view about what is right for something that is hopefully going to be there for decades. And in this particular case, it's very important that without human intervention, new parties that are offering value and supporting the network, they don't have to come to some committee and ask for stuff. They will be automatically rewarded by the protocol. So that's the short answer to that. Yeah, there's another question there, I see.
Yeah, I think we have time for one more question. I think you had your hand up first.
I see there, okay, okay.
Hey there. So given where StarkNet's going and all of the interesting things you see and all the projects, what is the most useful project or use case that you think your platform's capable of that you're not seeing built today, that you're not seeing any developers really go after?
That's a terrific question. I'm very sure that whatever prediction I try to make will fail. Why? I, first of all, know that when I saw, let's say, no ability to predict them in advance. So, like, if I had to guess now, I would say on-chain gaming will be the first thing, but I'll probably be wrong, okay, which is fine. Main thing that, that is really very unique about StarkNet is the massive ability to scale computation using proofs in a very sort of intelligent and coherent way, which entails from like thinking about things from the start and, like, you know, for instance, having account abstraction baked into the core and other such things. About gaming, but I'll probably be wrong because there'll be some crazy other application. And I'll be very happy to be wrong. But if I had to guess, I would say it would not be something that today exists on L1, just, you know, 10x larger. That I don't think will be the distinctive first thing. Okay, so please reach out to us, find us. Again, we have Sue, Diego, Lior, and Ilya. Please all say hi back. Come up and we'll be walking around. Please come with your questions. Thank you very much.